everyone, it's Sandra, and today we're talking some current beauty favorites. I also have a couple of products that have disappointed me. So let's start off with the products that I've been into. I have 3 skincare products that have really been helping my skin as I'm getting used to tretinoin. This is my 3rd month using it. I'm using a 0.5% retin-A formula. If anybody is curious, this journey has been a lot easier for me than starting different, mostly because I've been a lot more slow and steady with it, and also because I've been just educating myself more before starting and going in. A few years ago, when my dermatologist prescribed different for my acne, he didn't really give me any instructions. He was just like, yeah, just put this on every night. Sometimes, you know, if you want, you can put some moisturizer on top. Like, it was very, very vague instructions. And I didn't do that much research, and I was still using quite intense acid exfoliating products at the same time. So I ended up just really messing up my skin barrier. My skin was messed up for months. Even water hurt my skin. So I definitely learned my lesson from my different journey, and I told myself, you know, I'm going to go to something a little bit more harsh, but I need to cut out all exfoliating products. I need to just go in really, really slowly and steadily. I have found Dr. Sam Bunting's videos really helpful. Dr. Dre, I believe, has some really informative videos if you are planning on starting like a more intense vitamin A, you know, retinoid type of product. I just feel like now there are so many incredible resources available from professionals that make starting a more intense ingredient a lot easier. So what I personally did is, for the first month, I only used it once a week. For the second month, I used it twice a week. And now we are in my 3rd month, and I'm just starting to amp it up to 3 times a week. And knock on wood, I have not experienced any skin barrier sensitization. I haven't experienced any stinging, any irritation. The only side effects I have experienced so far have been peeling, which is to be expected, and purging. It's kind of hard right now because, you know, is it maskne? Is it breaking out from retin-A? It's kind of hard to pinpoint why exactly I'm breaking out, but the breakouts that I kind of attribute to tretinoin are just in areas where I'm not wearing a mask and areas where I'm not usually breaking out. Like right now I have 2 little guys hanging out over here, and this area, you know, my mask doesn't really touch this area, and it's an area where I rarely break out. In terms of benefits, I have noticed an improvement in my skin texture, and I've noticed a slight refinement in pores. So that's a good thing. And the 3 skincare products that I've added into my routine to kind of help my skin feel really moisturized and supported have been this serum by Dr. Loretta. This is the Intense Replenishing Serum. I listened to a podcast episode on the Fat Mascara podcast. It was an interview with Dr. Loretta, and she is a really, really fascinating woman. I highly recommend checking out that interview. She has done so much cutting edge research, and this Intense Replenishing Serum just sounded like the perfect addition to my journey, because it doesn't have like any crazy actives or anything. It's just designed to help support your skin, your lipid barrier, and it's a lot more oily feeling than I initially thought. I thought that this would just be like a watery, hydrating type of serum, but it's really not. It feels quite oily on the skin, which is why I don't like using too much of it. It can feel a little bit too greasy on my skin. But if I just use 3 drops and, you know, use it down my neck as well, it ends up, you know, sinking into the skin, and it just feels incredibly nourishing and replenishing on my skin. So I've been enjoying this. Has 0 fragrance to it or anything like that. Another product that I've been using on the day after I apply retin-A is the Indeed Labs In-Circadian Night Mask. This is a really wonderful, moisturizing, soothing, radiance boosting sleeping mask. So on the 2nd day after retin-A, usually I will just wash my face, do the Dr. Loretta serum, and then just apply this mask and then go to bed. Easy peasy. And I just feel like my skin looks amazing the next day after I use it. The only downside is that the packaging is tiny. That's really my only gripe. I wish it was bigger because this is a wonderful product. You can also use it as just like a leave-on quick 15-minute mask and then rinse it off, but I prefer to leave it on overnight, and it's beautiful, not greasy, feels really nice and velvety on the skin. It doesn't leave a sticky residue or anything like that. And then in terms of moisturizer, I needed something a little bit more moisturizing than the moisturizer that I was using more in the summertime. And this is the Reversa Collagenike moisturizer. I've been using this day and night, and it's awesome. It is a Canadian brand. I don't think they sell in the United States. So, you know, I would 100% repurchase once the border reopens and I can drive over to Shoppers Drug Mart. But if you like Drunk Elephant Protini, this is like Protini but better. It is so delightful. Again, zero fragrance. This is also zero fragrance. Not that I have anything against fragrance, but I think it's worth noting just in case you are very sensitive to fragrance. I kind of like to point these things out. This is a beautiful moisturizer. I just take a little scoop and I use, I don't know, maybe like a dime size amount at night. I use a little bit less of it in the morning, and it just feels so good. It feels like a comforting, moisturizing blanket on my skin, but it sinks in quickly and doesn't make me really greasy or really oily. I do have combination skin. So I think if you're very, very dry, you might not like this. If you're very, very oily, you might not like this. But if you're middle of the way, like I am right now, you will really enjoy this. Loaded with peptides, hyaluronic acid, goji berry extract. It's just a really delightful skincare product. This year, my mission was to use up some of my mediocre foundations in my collection. You can see, if you watch my last empties and new products video, you can see which foundations I have used up recently. And I just went back to an old faithful. This is one of my favorite foundations of all time. Lancome Tanti Doll Ultra. I use the shade 230 Buff W right now. In the winter, I use 210. It's just a really great everyday foundation. It can last the entire workday without looking weird at the end of the day. It's not super, super matte. It's not as full coverage as Estee Lauder Double Wear. It's just a lot easier to work with. You can sheer it out if you just want a really sheer layer. You can build it up if you want more coverage. Has a nice like satin finish. And out of all the foundations that I have in my stash right now, this is the one that holds up the best if I am wearing a mask on top. It does transfer on the mask a tiny bit by the end of the day, but when I take the mask off, my makeup just doesn't look weird. It still looks really nice. So just out of everything that I have right now, this has been just wearing the best, and I really, really like it. This is my third or fourth bottle that I've had over the years. Next, we have a primer. There's just something about it. I can't put my finger on it, but this just makes my skin look better when I use it. Don't know what voodoo is in it. Maybe it's just a placebo effect. Maybe my brain is like, hey, this really expensive product is doing something magical. But it's the Sicily Double Tenseur. It just makes my skin feel like more lifted, more firm. I hadn't used it for a couple months, and then I busted it out again because, like I mentioned, I was kind of feeling insecure about my skin at times, and just put this on and then this on, and I just was so happy with my face. Another set of complexion products that I enjoyed are powders. This is the Pat McGrath Under Eye Powder. I use the shade Light. This is a pressed powder, but it does kick up quite a bit. So you have to be careful. If you dig in too deep, it will kind of get all over the place. But this just is such a great under eye powder. I love it so much. I find that it has a slight blurring effect. It's really flattering and never makes my under eye area look dry or cakey. And I love it, whether I use it with a more sheer coverage concealer under the eyes, or if I use it with the fuller coverage Pat McGrath concealer, it just looks great. And then for my face, you know, I dabble in other face powders. You know, I also got the little Laura Mercier one because I don't know, I just wanted to reminisce. And, you know, I have a nice little Sicily pressed powder, but the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder, the original untinted loose one, is still my favorite face powder. Every time I use it, I love it. It does have a slight soft focus effect. It has really decent oil control capabilities, And I don't like to use this under my eyes. I feel like if I use it under my eyes, it can make my under eye area look a bit dry. But if I just do the Pat McGrath powder under my eyes, and then if I just take this a small brush like the Bobbi Brown sheer powder brush or the Wayne Goss airbrush, and I just use, you know, whatever's left on the lid, tap it on, tap off the excess on the palm of my hand, and then just target any areas where I tend to get shiny throughout the day or where I want my makeup to set. I know that they recently released a pressed version of this. I don't know how the pressed version compares to the original loose. They also have a tinted one now. Maybe if you've tried multiple versions of this powder and you have any insight, let me know in the comment section below. Then I have a blush that I've also been really loving. I kind of rediscovered this when I did that Shopping My Stash peachy makeup tutorial, and it's the Peach Blush by Laura Mercier. Now this is in the new reformulated Blush Infusion, I think it's called. The old Laura Mercier blushes weren't as pigmented. This new formula has a bit more extra pigment, and I love this blush. It has a very refined sheen to it, so it's not just a dull matte, and on the skin it just gives it a little bit more life. I am wearing it today. I'm just wearing a very light layer of it, but it's really easily built up if you use a more dense brush. I do have one fragrance favorite that I wanted to share with you. This has been a favorite of mine for years. September of every year is when Le Labo has their city exclusive scents available to purchase. Usually they have a set of fragrances that you can only buy in particular cities, and each city has its own signature scent. This is Gaiac 10, which is the signature scent of Tokyo. Now, I've personally never been to Tokyo. I would love to go to Tokyo, but I mean, who knows when that's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna travel with my nose, you know, if I can't travel physically. The cool thing about Le Labo is that you can refill all your fragrances, and when you refill your bottle, you get 20% off on the refill. And also, if you run out of a city exclusive, you can still get a refill of it. You don't have to wait until September to get a refill. It's a very convoluted system. But anyway, Gaiac 10 is such a beautiful, slightly woodsy, slightly sweet, slightly fresh scent. I love to wear this time of year. I also love to wear this in the winter. So it's more of like a fall winter scent for me. And if you like the famous Santal 33 fragrance by the brand, this is similar to that. I would say that it's in the same fragrance family, but this is a little bit lighter. It doesn't last as long on the skin as Santal, and it's also a little bit more, dare I say, feminine. Just, it's a little bit more sweet, and yeah, a bit more sweet and a bit more light than Santal 33. But I think if you like Santal 33, you will also like Gaiac 10. To me, this is more special. The only gripe is that it's really expensive, and it doesn't last long. Like, both the bottle, you will go through it quickly, and also the scent itself. It's not the type of scent that you can still smell on yourself intensely at the end of the day. Lasts maybe like 4 or 5 hours on me, and then I kind of need to reapply, but it's worth it, because those 4 or 5 hours, I am in absolute olfactory heaven. It's one of my favorite fragrances on the planet. They do sell little sample sizes of all their city exclusives right now in September on their website or at Nordstrom. So highly recommend checking it out if you are on the hunt for a new fragrance this season. And that's it for favorites. Now let's talk about a couple of disappointments. This is also a fragrance related purchase, kind of, but it's the Way Byredo Mojave Ghost Dry Shampoo. Now, let me just say that the scent is incredible. I absolutely love Byredo Mojave Ghost. It's a very fresh but cool. It doesn't smell like everything else. It's a really beautiful fragrance. And if you like to smell fresh and clean, but with a twist, with a little woodsy twist, Mojave Ghost will take you there. It's a beautiful unisex scent. I was very excited to have that in a dry shampoo, but my gripe is with the actual dry shampoo formula, not the fragrance. I had never tried the regular Way Super Dry Shampoo, but this just irritates my scalp. It's sad because I really want to use this, but it gave me eczema. Like, it gave me like patches, like scaly patches on my scalp, scaly itchy patches. I had to use some of my husband's prescription steroid that he uses. I had to put that on my scalp to make the little patches go away. So I think I'm just gonna have to use this as like hair perfume, just on the lower ends of my hair, just to get the fragrance kick out of it. And also, in terms of dry shampoo performance, this is not my favorite dry shampoo formula. I personally think that the Living Proof dry shampoo is better in terms of oil absorption and volume, and also the Sachajuan dry powder shampoo is my personal favorite dry shampoo when it comes to sucking up oil and giving extra volume, and that one doesn't irritate my scalp. Yeah, this is kind of like, I like it, but unfortunately it irritates my scalp. And then the other thing that I'm kind of disappointed by is the Glossier Balm Dotcom. I don't know, some people really love it and they say that it's the most amazing moisturizing lip balm. Some people say it does nothing. It's like a glorified Vaseline essentially, and this really does nothing. Like it does not give any benefits to my lips. The only thing I like about it is the scent. This is a rose scent. The packaging is cute. I like that it has a matte finish on the lips. It's not like a glossy lip balm, but it doesn't make my lips any more moisturized. It's as if I never applied anything on my lips when I take this off. So I just kind of went back to my old faithful, the Clarins Hydra Essential Lip Balm. I really like this. I love to use this overnight. I just leave it on and I wake up and my lips feel nice and moisturized. And I think, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I should just stick to what I know. But you know, with lip balms and cleansers and fragrances, like it's fun to try new stuff. So, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Thank you for hanging out with me and watching my current beauty favorites. Let me know what beauty favorites you're into right now. I will catch up with you in the comment section below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.